it is funny, but at that time, and even right now, in a couple of years, we will think, oh, how crazy is this? That and now they are scanning my face and they know what I bought and things like that.
Welcome to a new episode of the Human Error Podcast. My name is Ferry, and today I am joined by Miriam Frosi. Miriam, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's a
Thank you
pleasure.
for inviting me.
My pleasure. Good to have you. And could you do us a favor and introduce yourself briefly?
Briefly, okay, I will try to. My name is Miriam Frosi. I've been living in the Netherlands for 22 years almost. So I'm not blonde yet, but I really feel like I'm Dutch and Italian. I was born and raised in the neighborhood of Milano. I study economics and politics, and now I'm innovation manager at Rijkswaterstaat, which is a part of the Ministry of Infrastructure. And I'm also a counselor in the city of Eindhoven.
That sounds
Yeah,
good.
I both love my jobs. I enjoy it. And then I'm a mom of three children, three boys that are growing up fast, and I'm proud of them. Yeah,
That sounds good. That's quite a resume as well, and a nice
yeah.
family life. You said you've been living here for over 2 decades. What brought you to the Netherlands?
Of course, amore, love. My husband. I studied in Denmark, close to Copenhagen, in Roskilde. Maybe you know it from the festival.
Mhm.
And it was really a great experience. I also say to my children, but to everybody, make an experience abroad because you become richer, your cultural background. And I was lucky because I was in an international group, and there were also some Dutch guys, but one was really special, and he still is my husband. Yeah, well, a
And
long time ago.
how did you experience moving to a different country? Was it like a culture shock?
um, I always been really, really curious, really, to other cultures. So I was actually was searching for new experience and new cultures. I'm still like that because it started from learning English. Because as you know, not all the Italian of my generation I speaks. Yeah, not everybody speaks a good English. And I was thinking how I want to understand what in these nice songs people are saying, and I want to discover the world. I love to travel, and for me, it's every travel I do. It's an experience. I love it, and it starts from food and different recipes, and then meet people and talk to them and connect to the rest of the world. It makes you um, richer. I really believe in that. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. What is your favorite destination so far?
I loved Israel.
Hmm.
Yeah. So even if you do not believe in whatever, in God or whatever, there is such a nice. It's nice to go there and to walk with different cultures. There are Muslim, Christian, all the religion are there together. When I was there in peace, and I hope that it will remain like that. But it is great to walk there. It's like you jump back in the history, and you live the experience of of what for instance in the Bible. I'm not really Catholic, but it's a really a wonderful place, wonderful experience.
I kind of can relate. I'm not religious either. I was kind of brought up religious, but I went to Rome a couple of years ago, and I think I understand what you mean. It's you are being immersed into the history of the country, of the city where you're at. Um, and especially, I'm not sure about Israel, but I do know for Rome, everything is preserved so well that you can walk from one place to another and kind of feel like you were walking in like the 1700s, or it just feels so immersive. Is that the same for where you've been?
Yes, and I think about Rome. It's my favorite city. I love it, and it's like an open museum.
Hmm.
You go back you go back in the time and with the Romans and so so great. I suggest everybody go to Rome before you die. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice because
Yeah.
when I went there, I'm a personal fan of the Italian cuisine. So
Hmm.
that was what I was looking forward the most when I heard that we were going to Italy.
Yeah, yeah,
But once we were there, I was so I was shocked by how impressive everything is because you see it on TV and you read about it, and that doesn't really strike you, right? You see it, but you don't
yeah,
really live it. But when
exactly.
you're there and you see all the cathedrals and you see everything that's left from those eras. It's
Yeah,
incredible. It's really overpowering in some ways
yeah,
because you cannot. We didn't even see everything because we were there for like 4 days. That's not enough to see everything. But the things that we saw were so impressive. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it
also
is.
recommend go there if you can.
Yeah, I loved also Istanbul. It's an amazing city, and yeah, everywhere. I'm so happy we can travel now that the corona we fought the corona. Maybe I really hope that. And so the first thing I do when I get my salary is think about the next trip with my family and of my friends. Yeah, yeah.
That's a
And
good
last week
attitude.
I've been in Athens.
Hmm.
Wonderful. The same as experience as you go to Rome, but it's much smaller. But if you go walk up on the Acropolis, and you have so many times the wow effect. Wow, wow, wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah, you
nice.
cannot imagine that if you're not there, but if you're there, it's overpowering.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna make a quick bridge from going from ancient history to the now, because you work as an innovation manager. What does that mean to you to be an innovation manager? Because that's completely different from the old buildings that we saw in Rome and Greece.
And still, you can learn a lot from the old history because at the end, if you go to Egypt, for instance, and you see the pyramids, and yeah, unbelievable what they did. We can learn a lot from the history. We need to know the history to go further, of course. Innovation manager, what does it mean to me? I'm so proud of my job because I'm trying to work to complete the purposes that we wrote in the Paris Agreement.
Ah, for the SDGs, the climate goals. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have some sustainable goals. We have 17 of them, the global goals, and we are working hard. And the fact that I can contribute make me really proud. And of course, alone and even with my team or with my organization, I cannot change the world, but everybody is working hard to reduce the emission of CO2, to make sure that all the material is reused, things like that. So it's yeah, I'm a little bit proud, yeah,
Yeah, you should be,
of
because
being an innovation manager. Yeah,
so you
because
actively contribute to a better world, basically.
yes, I think that everybody has to do it, and you don't need to be a innovation manager because actually I told you once I think it's really a crazy name. You don't manage innovation. Innovation doesn't need any constraints or so, but you have to let your brains go and but you help innovation. You search for innovation possibility and for me it's nice to make sure that what is written, what is taught by clever colleagues in the end is implemented on the street because I work as an innovation manager and we do maintenance on the highways.
Hmm. And how does technology help you with that? Because it's if you maintain the highways, that's an immense job. It's huge. How do you
Yeah.
manage something that size?
I will talk about one example, which is the data-driven information that we get from the ABS system that all the cars have. So they collect all the data, and for instance, they say Okay, at that certain point, the left wheel it's slipping, and you see that all the cars are having this problem. Then is there something like you can go there and solve the problem? Is there oil, for instance, or is there something else uh, that is not going good, like maybe a hole in the street? And when you receive this information thousand of times, then you yeah, you don't use all the people that you have, or all 786 kilometer of highway that we have to maintain, but you just go and you focus on that yeah, on the point on the highway. And this is something that we made with yeah, data driven information. We can also do it with drones. We can also do it with drones and visual information. You put cams on your car, so you don't have to go there and have a look. But the cams, the videos are saying to you what is happening there. Yeah, there are wonderful things that we can do, and our people that are working on the street can focus their energy and their time on that specific point on our highways.
But
Yeah.
how do our cars talk to your systems? Because you said they use the ABS. So suppose I drive the highway over here. Does my car actually send data towards some systems?
Now we selected a group of people that are always yeah, that are driving on our, because I'm responsible for the south of the Netherlands,
Mm-hmm.
and the ABS system, the sensor sent to a specific platform all the datas, and then uh, all the datas are put together, and there is an analysis of this data, and then we got the information at the end. We are at the end of the process. So Miriam sent some people there, and of Miriam, of other colleagues of mine, of course. Um, and it works. It is great. So we have really, yeah, unbelievable amount of data. We also notice I'm working and I'm living in the Brainport radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, brain. It says a lot. We have all the intelligent brains from all over the world in our region. We have really an increase of a patent, which is amazing. And for instance, in the last 6 years, like 718% increase for artificial intelligence, and nearly 700 for big data. That's amazing. And we are one of in the big five area that are there have so many patent growth. And it's I'm proud to be a part of this, and I'm experimenting what a lot of startups are thinking, are creating. And I also love my job, because it is not it's not just Rijkswaterstaat. Excuse, I'm not just working with my colleagues, but I'm searching for a bigger network, for instance, through university, TU of Eindhoven, of Delft, startups, and together we make really, yeah, we can really make the difference. And you have the different TLR technology levels, and we want to bring the technology level a little bit readiness T, TLR a little bit further. So I'm happy to contribute.
And do you think that's gonna work? Because there's so much happening right now, and also you said artificial intelligence is moving more and more. Do you think that has an impact? Well, we do know it has an impact on startups, because most of them focus on creating technology that helps us today. But do you see that for bigger organizations that are usually slower to adapt? Because I feel like you're right in the middle between startups, innovations, big corporates. You're also working with the government. How do you see that moving for bigger organizations? Are they adapting to the new innovations?
If you do not adapt, then you will you will have to stop to work, and you will have no future. I'm sorry to be really black white, really
No, it's okay.
straight. I said I became a little bit Dutch and direct. But I mean, if you just look behind you and you don't look forward, you won't have a future. And I really believe in what I'm saying, because this is the future. You cannot go on sending all your people out on the street and have a look on the street and searching for the hole that has to be repaired, for instance. No, you just your your um, your people are you don't have a lot of people. You want to reduce the emission of CO2. uh, of course, then you have to be clever, because this will help you in saving money, of course, but also to help this world to be a better place, cleaner, healthier, for you, for the next generation, of course. So they will have to adapt. And adaptation, change management, it's not an easy thing, of course, I know, but you need flexibility in your organization. And it starts from management, and just talk to the people. We have to go and look forward, because otherwise we won't have a future.
But do you see the fears as well? Because what you
Yeah,
explained right now is that, especially in your job and the project you're working on, is that you use technology to support people, to make it easier, more efficient.
sure.
Obviously, like you said, if you wanna check every highway that we have, you're gonna need a huge workforce. But if you can use technology, it's easy to leverage and scale. But that's on the good side of technology. Do you also see a fear or some danger when we use technology?
Now, I think that the human kind remains a little bit the same, like in the Industrial Revolution. They were absolutely against it, because after if we have machine that makes our job, we have to destroy them, because otherwise we won't have a job and things like that. Yeah, it is always like that. People as like yeah, aversion is maybe not the right word, but they are a little bit against the change, because even everybody says, oh, 10 years ago it was better. And it used to be better and easier and smoother and things like that. Change, it's not easy. And people are by nature against change. If you have a good life, for all the things, not just for artificial intelligence of innovation. We are a little bit lazy. We have a lazy mind to adapt to the new things. But when you do that, when you realize that change is there and now is the time, then you just will have profit, and not just one yeah, organization, but the whole humankind. They will absolutely have a little bit of problem. If I watch at my job, then yeah, there are many people. There have a lot of dubious and doubts about innovation. But when we do that, and they realize that it's really, in the end, cleaner, cheaper, and better, then they go for it. I think in this situation, when you want to change, when you want to innovate, then you need to have on the top people that prepare slowly people to the change. Yeah, slowly. What is slowly? Not really slowly, but they have to select people that are flexible, that can um, quickly adapt to new situation. Everywhere, like in a HRM, everywhere you need innovation. You need to be prepared to select your persons, or in every organization, even in the government. And the government is doing a lot. The government is making big investments. If you have read some book from Mariana Mazzucato, she says, without government, no research and development. We government are, yeah, it is really, it's really funny because everybody thinks, oh, the government, they're just gray mice and are doing not a lot. But thanks to the government, we have the touch screen, for instance, and things like that. Yeah,
True. Yeah, I cannot speak for other countries, but I do know in the Netherlands where we are, the government is heavily investing
yeah,
in technology and innovations. And the way I see that happening is because you probably know it, the Dutch AI Coalition. I'm also personally a part of that, which I'm very proud of. And what I see there is that they try and combine the commercial side of the Netherlands, basically, the government side and the consumer side. So the society, they have this like triangle where they try and create technology or find innovation projects um, that we can collaborate with the three of us. So
yeah,
personally, I'm in a commercial side of it, working with government side of it, and we look at people that live in a certain city, or we look at consumers, or we work with universities, with students to see how they feel about new innovations. And then they have big budgets to make sure that we actually can produce a product or that we can have. I think they're now setting up this kind of like internal university where people can learn about artificial intelligence, about societal impact, how HR should work with technology. So we don't really see it yet, but there's so much going on the back end of things where the Dutch government is investing heavily, both in knowledge as well as in innovations themselves. Um, but I heard you say something interesting about management being responsible for guiding those innovations. Do you think innovation works top down or bottom up?
now this is really nice questions because you were talking about what we call triple helix.
Mm-hmm.
This government and we now we don't talk about triple helix. We talk about multiple helix
Mm-hmm.
because there are also um people like your neighbor can come up and really my neighbor came up with a not really neighbor a couple of streets from my house came up with a really a long time ago with a car which is which goes with light and he's making his prototype and so I think it's both. It can be from your neighbor that comes up with nice things and innovation. Now we are thinking about these crazy, incredible, clever things, but it can be also like adopt your street and make sure that you make biodiversity uh, because no bee, no life. The bees are so important in our system, ecosystem. If we don't care about our flora and fauna, our bees and insects and animals and the greenery, then 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 we stop to live. So simple is it. So innovation can be also like we do here. We are going around and we give seeds to everybody to make sure that they remove some of the piles and they put some green things like that. It's also innovating. So it can be both. I really believe it can start from the people, from the street, from a clever student that has a great idea, and but of course on the and it can be also top down but on the top has to be willing for a change for a betterment of this society, of course. Yeah,
Right, because if the top isn't open to change, then the people, for example, in an organization can have good ideas, but the top also needs to be open, right, for having that change. Um,
yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
one of the most interesting things is that people often forget that innovation doesn't have to be on a computer. You can
Yeah,
innovate your street, like you said, if you remove a tile and then create something for biodiversity, it's also innovating because you're just changing your environment. Um,
absolutely.
but it's funny that if we mention, and especially with organizations, if we mention the word innovation, they often think about artificial intelligence, machine learning, cryptocurrency, but it's way more than that. But do you think that at some point we should put a stop on technological innovations? Are we gonna bypass ourselves at some point?
Um, I don't think, when I heard the word constraints or stop or boundaries, then I don't become happy.
Hmm.
So no stop, no, no way. No, the sky is the limit. But at the same time, we have to think also about the effect on the humankind. So sometimes we have some in our society some problems, and we want to solve these problems, and we create a machine without thinking further, or we create robot that talk to people, which is great, but there are some things that I still, in my opinion, to be left to the human persons, because I will be happy if a robot can be able to talk as much as I can, but talk and knowing that your name is Ferrius, knowing that your hobbies are like I don't know, skiing or whatever it might be. It's nice, but the empathy and some human specifics emotion, I don't think that they can be recreate. You can learn, a robot can learn. Oh, I'm sorry about that to say that, but there is much more. Um, but in the end, I really believe that everybody thinks to make an innovation to improve or to make a betterment of a situation, and sometimes it turns to be a bad thing. Like I believe a priester discovered, had an explosion, and he created in the end a gun, but it was to defend himself from animals and things like that. And we know how sad it is right now in Ukraine. Is a war going on, and so it is used to kill your brother, your neighbor, and yeah, it is too sad. But yeah, still as human, we have to keep in mind that the effects of an innovation can be also bad, and before we start, we should have all the scenarios in mind. This can happen to our people, and you have to be prepared and not to be later reactive, but proactive.
Hmm. Yeah, because just because we can do something doesn't mean we should. But I think it's also up to us humans to determine how we are going to use something. Because you can use a
Yeah,
gun for hunting, which especially years ago would be easier than using a bow and arrow. But you can also kill a human being. But that decision is up to us. Because
exactly.
if we actually wanted to, we could stop using guns altogether. But we don't want to because there's financial gains. Um, and I think one of the best examples, especially because there's a gray area. With guns, it's obvious. You can either kill or not kill a human
Sure.
being. But with technology, you can sometimes create something, I think, with a good purpose, but with a bad outcome. And I think I gave you this example when we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago about this elderly home that had a robot which was able to communicate to older people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually love the idea because it came from taking care of the elderly, which is a good goal. It's a good cause. But what they created was something that could mimic empathy because it's not actual empathy. I think it mimics it, and it was
Exactly.
able to match a face with a memory. So if someone were to tell the robot a story, it was able to come back the next day and remember that you specifically told that story, which is good because it took away a little bit of the loneliness that the people were experiencing. But on the other hand, the people that actually studied and signed up to be a carer were doing the dishes, were doing the grocery shopping, but weren't talking to the elderly to keep them company and to make sure that
Yeah.
they were not lonely. So it felt like the robot was actually doing the human work, and the humans were doing work that I think could have been at least partially automated,
Yes.
especially the part of, say, the dishes or the cleaning. Even if it could save someone half an hour, that half an hour could be spent with someone who felt lonely, one of the elderly that they were taking care of. So I think there's this gray area where you kind of can create something for good, but then it ultimately could create something that we don't want in that specific way. Because, like I said, if they look at creating that robot to support the elderly, that's good. But maybe if they thought one or two steps further, they could have created technology to support the caretakers because they were doing the human work. I think that gray area is
Exactly,
super important.
exactly, exactly. And I think all the things that you will do and innovate will always have the other side of the coin. Let's say, yeah,
Yeah.
that because for instance, as I told you, in 1 month there will be a machinery which is called ART, Asphalt Recycling Train, and this machine will come to the Netherlands, and we'll make a little pilot, and we will remove the old asphalt. We will make it warm, but not really a high temperature. We will put some, let's say, glue, and in situ. That means this is Latin from the Romans period, and the same without moving the last wagon of the train will put the asphalt back on the street, and the quality will be the same. From we called ZOAP
Mhm.
will remain ZOAP, and that means that we don't have to transport sand and all the raw materials from and we can reuse the asphalt for many years. What is the other side of the coin is that the asphalt centrale center places, the places where the asphalt is produced, won't be in the future. If this is going on, it will be a great innovation. This will be a game changer. So in the future, these asphalt places won't be needed anymore. So you have to think further. How can we help the asphalt organizations to make a transformation, to use other forms of yeah, energy, less sustainable, and things like that. So there is always, even if you make a great thing, there is always yeah, less nice effect on the world. But in the end, you have to put on a weight the good things and the bad things. And when the good things are really strong, like no CO2 emission, zero use of raw materials and things like that, then go for it and be yeah, try, do it. Yeah, be courage. Show your courage.
Yeah, because it's ultimately it's part of the whole transition, right? Because
Yeah.
sure, there's a huge upside, and like you said, I agree. If the upside is big enough, then certainly we should go for it. And I think the upside or the downside is always part of the equation. Because just to give a simple example, we're going very strong on the self scanners at especially the supermarkets, where we are now basically taking over the job of the cashiers. We are scanning the
Yes.
products, we are using our debit card, and then we go out the store. And I think it's even Amazon that is creating supermarkets where they hardly have any staffing, just people that are stockpiling, but no cashiers, no one cleaning. Everything is done automatically. If you lift the product off the shelf, it's gonna weigh the shelf to know how many quantities you took, and then the camera scans your face to know that you took that, etc. So it's gonna automatically deduct the money from your bank account as soon as you leave the store, which is impressive. But the downside is
Yes.
that if you're young and you're in school and you're looking for an easy job to make a little bit of money on the side, you can no longer be a cashier. working in a clothing store, they are also implementing the self-checkouts. So these type of easy, low threshold jobs are going to disappear. Um, if you're working that specific job right now, that could be seen as harmful because you're taking away a lot of jobs that people are doing. But if you look 10, 20 years down the line and we got used to this whole new system, no one's going to grow up thinking I'm going to be a cashier when I'm in school, because that job no longer
Mhm.
exists. And often I'm met with some skepticism on this, but did you know that a couple of decades ago we used to light the street lights with a candle on a stick, which was something that
Oh,
we did before electricity. It's called a lamp lighter. There was someone
yeah.
walking the streets at night with a stick with a candle on it. The street lights were also candles, and he used to like light them with that stick until that person was replaced by electricity. So that's a normal transition. And sure, if your career was to be a street lighter or a lamp lighter, you were out of a job, which is painful for the next 10 years because, they have to find a new job.
Mhm.
Companies that were either educating them or hiring them, they also went bankrupt because no one was becoming
Yeah.
a streetlighter anymore. But 10, 20 years down the line, we're happy that every streetlight is now powered by electricity. It's automatic, it's daylight saving, it's cheaper, it's better for the environment. So that transition also always has a couple of victims, but that's just a short period. And I think also now, if you find a way to sustainably recycle the asphalt that we use, it's gonna cost a couple of jobs, and it's gonna cost some companies maybe their livelihood. They need to transition into something else. But down the line, we're gonna be so much better for the environment if we take this step
Absolutely.
right now, right?
I have to think about some jobs that used to uh, Rijkswaterstaat, where I'm working now, used to have like people that were all day long in a little cab, and they were there to move to open the bridge.
Hmm.
So we had movable bridges. So they were looking. Okay, look at there. There is a boat. Is coming. So they have to open, and then when the boat was gone, close, open and close. Yeah, it is now funny to think about this job. My husband used to do it when he was really young, just in the summer to earn some money, and yeah, it doesn't exist anymore because now it's yeah the all electronic system with sensor, and it's much more safe because yeah. Sometimes there was somebody who was sleeping, so they couldn't make him awake. So all the funny things are not happening anymore. Like this person that was going around switching on the light on the street. It is funny, but at that time, and even right now, in a couple of years, we will think, oh, how crazy is this? That and now they are scanning my face and they know what I bought and things like that. But as I told you, don't stop innovation. Let it go, and the children of my children, of the children of them, will choose for another little job to make some money. No, I'm
Yeah, of
sure,
course.
and we spend uh, their time in maybe other clever things, or maybe not. But uh, sometimes we have to go to look back to think, oh yeah, we thought it was crazy, but it's not. It's better. It's safer. It's cleaner.
Yeah, some things
Yeah,
need to change. And it's funny what you said about the bridges because we live quite near a bridge. It's automatically
movable.
operated. Yeah, it's movable,
Yeah,
and it's quite close to our home. And we moved here about 2 years ago, and we noticed that there was no one watching the bridge. And we heard that the entire neighborhood, we have like 3 bridges right here, are all automatic. But then one day we heard someone's voice through a speaker, and it turns out that that was someone watching the bridge and someone was crossing the red light. And now they have this central office where they watch, I think, like 10 bridges per person. And they can still communicate with the people on the bridge, like the cyclists and the people
yeah,
walking the bridge. But it's now done from like a central place. And the same thing, and I think that's the downside on the human part, which is short term, is where I used to work at the docks in Rotterdam. I
Hmm.
used to work for a big shipper carrier, and what they did was they had these people working in those cranes, you know, those sky high cranes that move the containers from the ship to the dock and back. Um, and they used to love their job because they used to go up and down the ladder. And they used to sit in this little cabin looking over the entire city. So they had the best view possible, especially those that were from Rotterdam, loved Rotterdam. They said, I can see the entire city. I can even see The Hague from here.
Yeah.
And then at one point, they said, well, we've got this new innovation where it's much safer because we're going to work from ground level. Because they had this office where they had all these cameras and some artificial intelligence and these joysticks, and they can move the crane 20 kilometers from the office. But they were now supposed to sit at the office and move the cranes from a distance. And they said, well, it's safe, it's warm. I can grab some coffee without going
Yeah.
down the entire ladder and going back up,
It's
which
funny.
is convenient. But the fact that made them love their jobs was the fact that they were sitting up high in that crane watching over the entire city. So they said, well,
Great.
the hard part of my job is now super easy, but the nicest part of my job is now gone. So my job is now super efficient, but it's not fun anymore. And I think that's something that sometimes we have to go through, how painful it can be. Um, but I think it's inevitable because in the end, it's going to be much safer for people. And in 20 years, no one's going to remember how that job used to be.
Exactly.
The same
Yeah.
like the street light, the lamp lighter. I cannot imagine. I can imagine I would be upset if I were fired from that job because now electricity is taking over. But I don't
Yeah.
have the ambition to become one because it's not a thing anymore. So yeah, we're gonna forget about it in the end.
There are many the people that are working at Rijkswaterstaat. They are really passionate, so they know all the things about these movable bridges, and of course it is painful, of course, but in the end the change will come sooner or later. And I also talk with many of these people, and I say, "Oh, I'm happy. I'm happy about this change because I can use my time doing other things which are better, and I can study things, and yeah. So we see that the brains is the development of the brains, and the development of the society is at the end we are all thankful to these changes, but there is a, like when you have a storm, and after the storm the water becomes really clear and nice. So we will come to the clear water period, let's say. Yeah.
I think we're
But
just gonna need more human skills, right? We're gonna focus a lot more on being human. I think.
I think it is really important. In the end, human will be always needed. I mean, I cannot believe that everything will be um, managed by robots and things like that. In the end, you have still the human brains that created these robots that will be needed. It is nice what you say. Focus on the on the human skills, and like to avoid bias, discrimination. You also gave a nice presentation about artificial intelligence to select a curriculum vitae. You have some nice candidates, and to avoid that you search of a copy of yourself, which is what most of the people unconsciously do. Yeah, then you have this artificial intelligence that help you to select. Okay, this is the things that you want. You want somebody that, for instance, has this study diploma, and you want somebody that has at least 3 years of experience. You want somebody that, I don't know, has a technical passion for technical things and things like that. So artificial intelligence do not look at your where did you grow up? Are are your parents highly educated or not, or things like that, or do they come from the Netherlands or from another country? Because this is this is what happened in the Netherlands, as you know, for at the tax belastingdienst.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The tax
It's
officers.
really sad, but we can improve and avoid those things. We learn from mistakes, and we can make sure that these mistakes do not happen again. But in the end, it will be me when I have two or three candidates selected by yeah, artificial intelligence. It will be a human that will decide, okay, becomes candidate one, two, or three, and I hope that that will be done based on the right decision, because he or she is the good one. No BS.
Yeah, and you also need that cultural fit, right? Because you are the one who knows the organization. And you could also sense if
Yeah.
someone is going to fit the profile, not specifically based on skills, because
No.
AI can make some decisions. I feel strongly about AI making decisions based on human lives.
Yeah.
And that's indeed, like you said, I'm working on something that AI should support humans in making a decision, but the human should make the final decision. Um,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
that goes for a lot of things in technology. But in this case, I feel that you as a human being, you have worked with people, you know the organization. In this case, you know Rijkswaterstaat very well. If I were to apply and two other people with maybe the same type of background, we all three of us could go through based on the skills that we have and the experience that we have and the number of years that we've worked somewhere. But that
Exactly.
doesn't mean that we would be a personal good fit. Because you might say that my personality or my traits do not match the culture of the organization, even though the skills match the hard skills. But the soft skills could be a mismatch. And I think that you, as a human being, with your empathy, you could sense if something would be a match.
Exactly. I used to be an accountant, and we were controlling like all the financials are okay, and does he yeah, reconciliate with that and things like that, which we called hard controls.
Mm-hmm.
And but I really yeah, and we didn't look at the soft controls, but in the end, the soft controls are really extremely important. Are actually the first things that you have to look at, because you can have the great perfect persons on paper, but then when you meet her or him, and you think, oh no, it doesn't really fit with our team, and um, yeah, it can be hard. At the end, it's a human decision. He or she, it's the right one that is going to make our project successful and great and nice, and also funny, because humor is also important.
Exactly, and that's something that we can sense, right? A
Yeah.
machine cannot sense humor,
No.
and but I think also hard skills can be taught. Of course, you need some base level, but if I were to apply for a job at your organization, I don't know what type of systems you use. I don't know how you talk to suppliers. Those are skills that I can learn. And I can learn to use your systems. I can learn to maybe even understand how our roads work, how the data works. But I cannot learn how to be a different person because I am me. So yeah, you could select someone based on you don't have the specific hard skills right now. But I think as a person, you would fit the organization because you have ideas, you're funny, you're intelligent, etc. And that's where I think humans should always be the end of the line if it comes to decision making. And that's something like you said before, our tax administration, and they admitted this, but they made the mistake of having artificial intelligence make the entire decision from A to Z. Without fully understanding how the algorithm works, and that's where you stumble upon
Yeah.
problems. And that's the danger. So I think there should always be a human, at least for now, until artificial intelligence surpasses us in intelligence. But I doubt it's going to happen. But until it doesn't, we have to be the ones at the end of the line. We should check the
Yeah.
decisions it made, and I don't think we should have automation replace us in the sense of our intelligence. I support technology that's doing heavy lifting, calculating, things that we need to go on 24/7, right? Like constructing a car. No one needs to be up at night constructing a car. We can have a robot arm do that entire thing. It's not a human task. But I
Yeah.
think making decisions and sensing if someone is a good fit, or talking to someone, or building a relationship, I think that
Leave
should
it to the
always.
human.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a human thing, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I completely agree with you. Yeah. Yeah. There are, I think you said we are at the end of the line. I think we are at the beginning of the line and at the end.
Mm,
We are the one who create robots, who create this great data-driven economy and things like that. But we also the one at the end decide yes or no, or um, yeah, that are things that are human has to be left to the human being.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
that's a good bridge to my next question, because we're talking about humans often. Like I said, if we say innovation, we think artificial intelligence, we think machines.
yeah.
But if we say humans, what do we mean? What does it mean to you to be a human being?
Ooh, yeah. For me, as I'm a networker, is connecting with people,
Uh,
because human is like is being with other persons and connecting and learning from each other and talk to each other. I think it's like a privilege to be human. We have brains. Not everybody use them, but it's another story, another podcast. But yeah, we can. I mean, there is so much to learn in this world, and there is so much to do and to improve. And even if somebody is like an expert in one thing, there are so many other disciplines and other interesting learning fields. So and it's like being human. It's like you are born with little brains, and they will grow until the last day of your life. So I'm happy. I'm trying to to keep my brains in shape. Yeah, but it's a good it's a privilege. Yeah, let's say like that.
I agree, and I think what you said is, if you were born with a small brain, but you are in charge of how you grow the brain, right? You can feed it, and I think
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
yeah.
And especially like you said, if you like traveling and you like reading and connecting to people, then like they say, the world is your oyster, right? You can fill your entire brain with experiences with people, right? That's what you do as well, right?
Yeah, and you are responsible for your own life. Of course, there are some people that are not so lucky. Like yeah, you can. I was born in Italy. I mean, in Europe. But still, the war is going on right now in Ukraine. So this there are some little guys and of even in other parts of the world where you cannot be yourself and otherwise you can die and or you don't have the chance to study because just because you are a girl or things like that, which is crazy. This is terrible. But you are responsible for the growth of your own brains and make the best of it. Um, and of course, there's no problem if there are some failures during the process of being more yeah, intellectual or being busy with taking care about yourself. And it's not just reading and study, but also respect yourself. Try to be healthy. It starts from the most stupid little things. Like yesterday, I was so angry. There was a car in front of me, and they opened the window and they throw the McDonald plastic things on the ground, and then the I was I was thinking now, what am I going to do? And yeah, it is so unbelievable nasty. I took these plastic things when all the cars were going, and I put it in a bin. But this is just a little action that everybody can do, but still you are responsible for your own actions, and try to make the best of it
Yeah,
and
it's
enjoy it. Because I mean, if you don't enjoy it, or you don't do it.
true.
Uh,
It's the circle of influence, right? You can only influence what you do and how you handle different situations. You cannot influence someone else's behavior. But I do see that, like you said, those kind of behaviors, throwing plastic out of your car window, yeah, that speaks. It says a lot about those people, and not about the people who actually try and fix things.
yeah, there are these little things, and I'm also working with a group which is called the Troopers,
Mm-hmm.
and we go sometimes around cleaning the streets. And I think if you are a parent or if you are a teacher, you also have this responsibility to talk to these children, and saying it's awkward if you throw all the stuff around. If you drink your Red Bull and you throw it in the nature, it is terrible. And even with the municipality of Eindhoven, I went to a school and we were talking about these rubbish things, and yeah, you have this clever enzyme idea that you can throw all together, and then they will discover, oh, this is metal, and they will throw all the rubbish apart, which is great, but you still have to give the right information and say, don't throw anything, don't throw the plastic, because otherwise this world will be terrible. In our blood, in human blood, there is plastic.
Yeah, I
They
saw
found the
that.
plastic. So
That's so
terrible.
scary.
Yeah, it is. It is. So respect the nature, like you want everybody to respect yourself.
Yeah, that's what my dad always told me. If we were out on the streets and I had like a wrapper from a chewing gum or a candy, he said it's your problem. You should keep it your problem. If there's no trash can near, you keep it with you until there's either one near or you get home. But you're
Yeah,
not gonna make it someone else's problem that you have this wrapper right now. So you stick it in your pocket or you keep it in your hand. Whatever you do, you find either a trash can or you take it home. That's how I was brought up, and I think it should be normal, right?
yeah,
We all live here. We want a clean home, right? Why don't we want a clean city, a clean street, a clean
exactly.
everything? Yeah,
And it was really funny with these young students, because we were asking, if you throw your chewing gum on the street, how long does it take before the chewing gum is completely gone in this world? I didn't know the answer, if I'm honest, but it was the chewing gum will be there forever, because in the chewing gum there are some parts of plastic, and they remain forever.
yeah,
And I mean, they were like, and me too, oh, really? And next time I want to throw the chewing gum away. And yeah, it starts with little changes,
it does. Yeah.
with
Oh,
positive, with information. If you get good information and you know why you should do something or you shouldn't, then you can still make the wrong choice, but with conscious,
exactly. That's the thing. Yeah, the
with
conscious.
awareness.
It is,
Yeah,
and I think that's the specific human trait: being aware of your environment, of
yeah,
yourself, of your actions, and taking responsibility.
exactly,
Yeah, I think
exactly.
we could chat about this for hours. I think we're kind of getting to the close of of this podcast. Um, I've got one more question for you. If you could leave us with a final thought, what would that be?
And final, um, wow, this is a nice question. Final thought, go ahead, no constraint, and make the best of it.
I like that. That's a good one. Just go for it. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
just
Miriam,
go
thank
for
you
it.
so much for being here today with me. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too. I can't believe 1 hour is gone. Really,
Yeah,
so
it's
quickly.
so quick, just like the last time we had a meeting. I think the hour
Yeah.
flew by. That's what you have when you have fun. So
Do you know,
again,
my husband says always, you are like a jukebox which is broken. You put 50 cent and it talks for 2 hours. No, funny. Just kidding.
well, it was awesome enjoying your jukebox and listening to your stories. Thank you so much for being here, and to you out there listening, thank you. Stay tuned and stay human.